Hey everyone! I just want to take a moment to say thank you for all the incredible support this year. Your views, likes, comments, and shares have truly helped get this channel off the ground. It's been an amazing journey, and I couldn't have done it without you. Now, sit back and enjoy this special compilation of our favorite moments from this year's videos. Thank you for being part of the family. Let's make next year even bigger and better. Enjoy the video and see you in the next one. Cheers!
Today I'm diving into the incredible story of the Antikythera Mechanism. In 1901, sponge divers off the coast of Antikythera discovered an ancient shipwreck. Among the artifacts, they found a corroded, gear-filled lump of bronze. Using X-ray imaging, British historian Derek J. de Solla Price discovered it was an intricate geared device. This was an ancient analog computer. It predicted astronomical positions and eclipses. The precision of the gears is comparable to 18th century clockwork. Modern reconstructions reveal its advanced design. It tracked moon cycles, predicted eclipses, and displayed planetary positions. We still don't fully understand how the ancient Greeks built it. The Antikythera Mechanism is a testament to our ancestors' brilliance.
Say Audio or Super Audio was introduced in 1999 by Sony and Philips. It promised high-resolution sound that was supposed to revolutionize the audio industry. Think crystal clear audio that made you feel like you were in the recording studio. Now, DVD audio was launched around the same time, in 2000. It offered multiple channels, higher storage capacity, and even supported surround sound. But what led to their decline? For SA Audio, it was the lack of widespread adoption and high production costs. DVD audio faced stiff competition from more versatile and convenient formats like MP3 and streaming services. So there you have it, two promising formats that couldn't withstand the test of time. The choice? It was made by the market and technology advancements.
Ever heard of the man who tried to give the world free energy? His name was Nikola Tesla. In 1901, Nikola Tesla began constructing the Wardenclyffe Tower on Long Island. This wasn't just any tower, it was a giant transmitter designed to wirelessly supply power to the entire globe. Tesla envisioned a world where electricity could be accessed by anyone, anywhere, no wires, no limits. But here's the twist: financial troubles and fierce competition with Thomas Edison led to the project's downfall. By 1917, the dream was over and the tower was demolished. Some say it was sabotage. Others believe it was simply ahead of its time. Though the Wardenclyffe Tower never fulfilled its promise, Tesla's vision sparked imaginations and paved the way for modern wireless technology. Today, Tesla's legacy lives on, reminding us that sometimes the greatest ideas are the ones that challenge the impossible. So next time you enjoy Wi-Fi or wireless charging, remember the mystery and ambition of Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower, because even the boldest dreams can light up the world. If your sword can slice through armor like butter, you're wielding Damascus Steel. Let's dive into the mystery. Damascus Steel, an ancient marvel known for its legendary strength and beautiful wavy patterns. Used in the Middle Ages, these swords were not just weapons but masterpieces. But here's where it gets intriguing. The exact method to create them, lost to history. Originating in the Near East, Damascus steel swords have been surrounded by legends, from slicing silk in midair to cutting through rock. The secret lay in its unique production techniques, combining wootz steel with a mysterious forging process. But over time, these techniques vanished, leaving modern blacksmiths scratching their heads. Today, many try to recreate this ancient craft. Some come close, but the true recipe remains elusive. The distinctive wavy patterns, the blend of strength and flexibility, they continue to captivate us. Damascus Steel has left an indelible mark on history, culture, and popular media. From epic tales to blockbuster movies, its legacy endures. So, the next time you see that mesmerizing pattern, remember you're looking at a piece of history's greatest enigma.
Imagine a world without television. No flat screens, no streaming services. It's hard to picture, isn't it? But for much of human history, it was just a dream. Then, in the early 20th century, something remarkable happened. Inventors started experimenting with mechanical television. These pioneers laid the groundwork for the television revolution. The invention of television was a collaborative effort spanning continents and generations. Visionaries like Paul Nipkow, who patented the electric telescope in 1884, laid the groundwork. Nipkow's spinning disc became a cornerstone of early mechanical television systems. Inventors like John Logie Baird and Charles Francis Jenkins built upon these principles, setting the stage for the technological revolution. At the heart of early mechanical television was the Nipkow disc, named after Paul Nipkow. This simple device revolutionized image transmission in the early 20th century. A flat disc with spiral holes captured and transmitted visual information. As it spun, each hole captured a scene segment, breaking down the image. Light through the holes focused onto a sensor, converting it to electrical signals. The receiver's synchronized disc reconstructed the image, displaying it for viewers. Today's high-definition TVs owe much to these early mechanical marvels. The magic of mechanical television lay in its ability to convert light into electrical signals and then back into visible images. The Nipkow disc, a rotating disc with holes in a spiral pattern, was at the heart of this technology. This process relied on converting light intensity into electrical current. The Nipkow disc scanned an image line by line, breaking it into light and dark spots. As light passed through the disc's holes, it struck a photoelectric cell, converting light into electrical signals. The cell generated an electrical current proportional to the light intensity, crucial for the system's performance. These signals were amplified and transmitted, allowing images to reach viewers' homes. At the receiving end, signals were converted back into light, recreating the original image. The modulated light was projected through the receiver's Nipkow disc, painting the image point by point.
In 1983, Motorola changed the world with the launch of the DynaTAC 8000X, the first commercially available mobile phone. Invented by Martin Cooper, the DynaTAC 8000X was a groundbreaking innovation. Standing 10 inches tall and weighing 2.5 pounds, it earned the nickname the Brick. With its hefty price tag of $3,995, the DynaTAC was a luxury item. It featured an LED display, 30 minutes of talk time, and a whopping 10 hours of charge time. Despite its limitations, the DynaTAC revolutionized communication. For the first time, people could make calls on the go, free from the constraints of landlines. The launch of the DynaTAC 8000X marked the beginning of a new era. Business professionals, especially in the finance and tech sectors, were the early adopters, paving the way for the mobile revolution. While today's smartphones are sleek and multifunctional, it's important to remember the giant leaps made by early mobile phones like the DynaTAC. They laid the foundation for the devices we can't live without today.
Imagine sending your handwritten messages across town instantly. In 1888, Elisha Gray made this possible with his revolutionary invention, the Telautograph. The Telautograph was the first device to transmit handwriting over long distances. Using a stylus and a system of wires and motors, it could reproduce your exact handwriting miles away. Businesses quickly adopted this technology. Banks, offices, and train stations used telautographs to send signatures, memos, and even blueprints, revolutionizing communication. Though eventually replaced by fax machines and digital communication, the telautograph paved the way for these advancements. It was a crucial step in the evolution of how we share information. During World War II, one of the most enigmatic devices was at the heart of the Allies' efforts to decode secret messages, the Enigma Machine. The Enigma Machine, a device shrouded in mystery and intrigue, began its journey not in the shadowy world of espionage, but in the realm of commerce. Invented by Arthur Scherbius, a German engineer, in 1918, the Enigma was initially intended for businesses seeking secure communication. Its purpose was simple: to protect sensitive information from prying eyes. Imagine a world without the internet, where businesses relied heavily on telegrams and radio transmissions. These methods, while revolutionary at the time, were vulnerable to interception. Recognizing this vulnerability, Scherbius envisioned a machine that could scramble messages, rendering them unintelligible to anyone without the means to decode them. The Enigma Machine, in its early commercial form, resembled a bulky typewriter. Beneath its unassuming exterior lay a complex system of rotors and electrical pathways. Each time a letter was typed, the machine would substitute it with a different letter, effectively transforming a plaintext message into an indecipherable jumble of characters. The recipient, possessing an identical Enigma machine and the correct settings, could then unscramble the message, revealing its hidden contents. war and encryption, the Enigma's deadly purpose. The German military adopted the Enigma in the 1920s for secure communication. This invention would soon shape the course of history. It protected communications from enemy interception. The Enigma offered a seemingly impenetrable shield, but a team of brilliant minds was determined to unravel its secrets. Cracking the code inside the Enigma machine. At the heart of the Enigma machine lay a complex mechanism. Imagine a set of rotating discs with letters on their edges. These rotors were key to the Enigma's encryption. Each letter type spun the rotors, changing connections. The plugboard added complexity, swapping letter pairs. This increased the number of possible settings exponentially. Cracking the Enigma code seemed impossible, a puzzle too complex. The codebreakers, Turing and Bletchley Park. As the Enigma machine churned out encrypted messages, a dedicated team of codebreakers at Bletchley Park, a secluded estate in England, raced against time to crack the code. Among them was Alan Turing, a brilliant mathematician and logician whose genius would prove instrumental in breaking the Enigma's seemingly unbreakable code. Turing and his team faced a daunting challenge. The Enigma machine, with its vast number of possible settings, presented a seemingly insurmountable obstacle. However, Turing, recognizing the machine's inherent weaknesses, devised a revolutionary approach. He understood that the Enigma, despite its complexity, was essentially a machine, bound by its own internal logic. Realizing that the Enigma never encoded a letter as itself, Turing devised a machine called the bomber. This electromechanical marvel could rapidly test thousands of rotor settings, searching for patterns and inconsistencies in the intercepted messages. By exploiting these weaknesses, Turing and his team were able to chip away at the Enigma's defenses. Turning the tide, the impact of breaking Enigma. The ability to decipher Enigma messages proved to be a turning point in World War II. With access to German communications, Allied forces gained invaluable insights into enemy movements, strategies, and intentions. This intelligence advantage enabled them to anticipate and counter German attacks, saving countless lives and shortening the war. The Battle of the Atlantic, a protracted struggle for control of the Atlantic shipping lanes, exemplified the impact of breaking Enigma. German U-boats, relying on Enigma to coordinate their attacks on Allied convoys, had inflicted heavy losses. However, with the ability to decipher U-boat communications, Allied forces could reroute convoys, avoiding deadly ambushes and turning the tide in the Atlantic. The impact of breaking Enigma extended far beyond the battlefield. The intelligence gleaned from deciphered messages influenced strategic decision-making, shaping the course of the war. From planning D-Day to anticipating German offensives, the ability to read enemy communications proved to be an invaluable asset to the Allied war effort. Enigma's legacy echoes in modern cryptography. The Enigma machine, once a symbol of unbreakable code, stands today as a testament to ingenuity. Although its reign of secrecy was shattered, the Enigma's legacy lives on, reminding us of the importance of secure communication. Lessons from breaking Enigma laid the foundation for modern cryptography. Today we rely on sophisticated encryption algorithms. From online banking to confidential emails, these algorithms protect our data. They owe a debt to Turing and his team at Bletchley Park. The Enigma story reminds us that human ingenuity can prevail. Today I'm diving into the fascinating world of cold fusion. Is it the key to unlimited energy or just a scientific mirage or salve? Let's find out. Our story begins in 1989 when electrochemists Martin Fleischmann and Stanley Pons announced they had achieved cold fusion at room temperature. This breakthrough promised a nearly infinite source of clean energy, captivating the world's imagination. Cold fusion, in theory, is a nuclear reaction that occurs at or near room temperature. Unlike hot fusion, which powers the sun and requires extreme heat, cold fusion would be a safe, low-energy process that could revolutionize energy production. Fleischmann and Pons used a simple setup involving palladium electrodes in heavy water. They claimed this produced excess heat, indicating a fusion reaction. However, replicating their results proved difficult. Skepticism grew as other scientists failed to replicate the findings. Critics argued that the initial experiments were flawed and that the observed heat was due to experimental error. The scientific community largely dismissed cold fusion as pseudoscience, but the story doesn't end there. In recent years, there has been renewed interest in cold fusion, now often referred to as low-energy nuclear reactions, or LENR. Researchers like Dr. Michael McCubry and institutions like the US Navy have quietly continued their investigations, reporting some promising, albeit inconclusive, results. Today, cold fusion remains a contentious topic. Mainstream science remains skeptical, but some independent researchers and small companies persist, claiming breakthroughs and seeking investment. So, is cold fusion real? The answer is still unclear. The scientific community requires rigorous, reproducible evidence to accept such a revolutionary idea. Until then, cold fusion will remain a tantalizing possibility, an innovation that might just be waiting for the right discovery to unlock its potential.
Today we're diving into one of the most infamous technology battles of the 20th century, Betamax versus VHS. It was a war that shaped the future of home entertainment. But how did the superior technology lose? Let's find out. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, a battle raged in living rooms. Two video cassette formats, Betamax and VHS, competed to become the standard for home video recording. This wasn't just a battle of technology, it was a fight for the future of home entertainment. The winner would determine how people watched movies, TV shows, and even home videos for years to come. Before these formats, watching television meant adhering to a strict schedule. Now, viewers could record their favorite shows and watch them later. This new freedom to control what and when they watched was revolutionary. The stakes were high, and both Sony, the maker of Betamax, and JVC, the developer of VHS, knew it. The competition between Betamax and VHS wasn't just about technology, it was about market dominance. The format that won the hearts and minds of consumers would shape the video industry for decades. Sony, a giant in the world of electronics, launched Betamax in 1975. It was a groundbreaking technology that promised to revolutionize home entertainment. Betamax offered superior picture quality compared to its rival VHS. This was a significant advantage, especially for movie buffs who wanted the best possible viewing experience. The tapes themselves were smaller and more compact than VHS tapes, adding to Betamax's appeal among technophiles. Initial reviews praised Betamax for its sharp images and innovative features. It seemed that Betamax, with its technical prowess, was poised to win the format war. However, Betamax had one significant drawback: its recording time. The initial Betamax tapes could only record for 1 hour, which limited its appeal to consumers. In 1976, just a year after Betamax's debut, JVC, a Japanese electronics company, introduced VHS, short for Video Home System. VHS tapes were bulkier than Betamax tapes, and the initial picture quality wasn't as sharp. However, VHS offered a crucial advantage: longer recording times. From the start, VHS tapes could record for 2 hours, twice as long as Betamax. This difference in recording time proved to be a game changer. Consumers quickly realized that VHS's longer recording time was more practical, especially for recording movies and sporting events. The battle lines were drawn. Betamax boasted superior picture quality and a more compact tape design, while VHS countered with longer recording times and a more affordable price tag. Section 4. The VHS Marketing Blitz. JVC recognized that winning the format war wouldn't solely depend on technical specifications. They understood the importance of marketing and pricing strategies. JVC adopted an aggressive marketing campaign that positioned VHS as the more affordable and accessible option for the average consumer. They heavily promoted VHS's longer recording times, appealing to consumers' desire to record entire movies without interruption. To further solidify its position, JVC made a strategic decision. They licensed the VHS technology to other manufacturers. This move flooded the market with affordable VHS players from various brands, making it easier for consumers to adopt the format. Section 5. Consumers choose VHS. Price and practicality prevail. Consumers, faced with a choice between two competing formats, ultimately favored VHS. The deciding factors were price and practicality. VHS players were generally cheaper than Betamax players, making them more accessible to a wider range of consumers. The longer recording time of VHS tapes proved to be a significant advantage. Consumers appreciated the ability to record entire movies without having to change tapes midway. VHS also benefited from the availability of pre-recorded movies. Rental stores, sensing the growing popularity of VHS, stocked their shelves with VHS tapes, further boosting the format's appeal. Section 6. The Power of Partnerships. Industry backs VHS. JVC's decision to license VHS technology proved to be a masterstroke. By allowing other manufacturers to produce VHS players and recorders, JVC effectively created an industry standard. This open approach contrasted with Sony's more guarded strategy with Betamax. The availability of VHS players from multiple manufacturers led to increased competition, driving down prices and making VHS even more attractive to consumers. Movie studios also played a role in VHS's victory. They overwhelmingly chose to release their films on VHS, recognizing its growing popularity and the revenue-generating potential of the home video market. Section 7. The Legacy of the Format War. VHS victorious. By the mid-1980s, it was clear that VHS had won the format war. Betamax, despite its technical superiority, couldn't overcome VHS's advantages in recording time, price, and market penetration. Sony officially conceded defeat in 1988 when they began producing their own VHS players. The VHS versus Betamax battle had a lasting impact on the consumer electronics industry. It demonstrated the importance of understanding consumer needs and preferences, the power of strategic marketing, and the value of industry partnerships. VHS dominated the home video market for over 2 decades, shaping the way people consumed entertainment. The legacy of VHS serves as a reminder that technical superiority doesn't guarantee market success. Ultimately, the winning product is often the one that best meets the needs and desires of consumers. Today, we embark on a fascinating journey through time. We're exploring a piece of 19th century technology that was once essential to businesses and academics alike: the mechanical calculator. This remarkable device revolutionized the way calculations were performed. Before the days of digital devices, this ingenious invention was the go-to tool for performing complex calculations, making it indispensable in various fields. But as with many innovations, it eventually became obsolete, replaced by more advanced technology. Join us as we dive into the story of the mechanical calculator, uncovering its impact and legacy in the world of computation. In the early 1800s, rapid industrialization was transforming societies at an unprecedented pace. The expansion of commerce and the increasing complexity of business transactions demanded quicker and more reliable methods of calculation. Enter the mechanical calculator, a marvel of precision engineering that revolutionized the way calculations were performed. Charles Xavier Thomas de Colmar, a visionary French inventor, created the first commercially successful mechanical calculator in 1820, known as the arithmometer. This groundbreaking device quickly became popular in offices across Europe and the United States, offering a faster and more efficient alternative to manual calculations. It marked the beginning of a new era in computational tools, paving the way for future innovations in the field of mechanical and electronic computing. The arithmometer could add, subtract, multiply, and divide with remarkable accuracy. It was a game-changer for accountants, bankers, and scientists who needed to handle large volumes of data. Over the decades, various models were developed, becoming more advanced and user-friendly. But by the mid-20th century, the mechanical calculator began to lose its prominence. These devices, once the pinnacle of office technology, were slowly being overshadowed. The invention of the electronic calculator in the 1960s marked the beginning of the end for these mechanical wonders. With their sleek designs and advanced capabilities, electronic calculators quickly gained popularity. Electronic calculators were faster, smaller, and eventually much cheaper to produce. They offered unparalleled convenience and efficiency, making them an instant hit in both professional and personal settings. By the 1970s, the mechanical calculator had become a relic of the past, replaced by more efficient and accessible technology. These once revolutionary machines were now mostly found in museums or as nostalgic collectibles, a testament to a bygone era of innovation. Today, mechanical calculators are mostly found in museums or the collections of enthusiasts. They serve as a reminder of a time when the mechanical ingenuity of the 19th century laid the groundwork for the digital age. While they may be obsolete, their impact on the world of mathematics and business is undeniable.
Today, we're taking a trip back in time to explore one of the most iconic, yet now obsolete technologies from the 1960s and 70s, the 8-track tape. I bet you didn't know that this chunky cartridge, larger than a deck of cards, became a symbol of the decade. It offered a new level of portability and convenience for music lovers. For the first time, people could easily take their favorite albums with them on the go. Whether cruising down the highway or relaxing at home, the 8-track was a constant companion. The 8-track's reign was relatively short-lived. By the early 1980s, it had been surpassed by the smaller, more reliable cassette tape. But for a brief, shining moment, the 8-track was king. It changed the way people listened to music and left an indelible mark on the cultural landscape of the 1970s. Its story is a reminder of how quickly technology can evolve, leaving behind once ubiquitous objects as curious relics of a bygone era. The 8-track tape was the brainchild of William Powell Lear, better known as Bill Lear. A visionary inventor and entrepreneur, Lear was already a legend in the world of aviation. He had founded Learjet, a company that revolutionized private air travel. But Lear's ambitions extended beyond the skies. He saw an opportunity to bring high-quality audio to the masses, and he believed the 8-track was the key. Lear's invention built upon existing magnetic tape technology, but with a crucial twist. He envisioned a continuous loop system housed in a durable, easy-to-use cartridge. This innovation eliminated the need for rewinding, a common inconvenience with reel-to-reel tape players. Lear believed his invention would make music more accessible and enjoyable for everyone. Lear's timing was impeccable. The 1960s witnessed the rise of car culture, and with it, a demand for in-car entertainment. Radios were common, but they offered limited music selection. Lear saw an opportunity to capitalize on this burgeoning market. He partnered with Ford Motor Company to introduce 8-track players as an option in their 1965 models. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Consumers embraced the 8-track's portability and ease of use. The ability to enjoy their favorite albums while cruising down the open road was a revelation. The 8-track quickly became synonymous with the driving experience, further cementing its place in popular culture. It wasn't long before other car manufacturers followed suit, making 8-track players a ubiquitous feature in automobiles throughout the late 1960s and 1970s. The magic of the 8-track lay in its unique cartridge design. Inside the rectangular plastic casing, a continuous loop of magnetic tape wound around a set of 4 pairs of tracks. As the tape played, a head inside the player would read the magnetic signals from each track, converting them into sound. The 8 in 8-track referred to the 8 program segments, one on each of the 4 pairs of tracks. When one segment ended, the player would seamlessly switch to the next, providing continuous playback. This continuous loop system was a significant departure from the linear format of reel-to-reel tapes. It allowed for uninterrupted listening, a major selling point in the era before CDs and digital music. The 8-track's cartridge design also offered greater durability than fragile vinyl records, making it ideal for on-the-go listening. It seemed that Lear had found the perfect formula for bringing music to the masses. The limits of technology. Despite its initial success, the 8-track was not without its flaws. One of the most common complaints was its lower sound quality compared to vinyl records. The narrow tape width and slower tape speed resulted in a narrower frequency response and increased noise levels. Audiophiles often criticized the 8-track's muddy sound and lack of dynamic range. Another drawback was the notorious clunk that occurred when the player switched between program segments. While designed to be seamless, this transition often resulted in a noticeable pause or drop in audio. This quirk became a source of amusement for some and frustration for others. These limitations, combined with the inherent fragility of magnetic tape, meant that 8-tracks were prone to degradation over time. With repeated plays, the tape could stretch, break, or lose fidelity. The golden age of 8-tracks. Despite its technical shortcomings, the 8-track enjoyed a period of remarkable popularity. From the late 1960s to the mid-1970s, it was the dominant format for pre-recorded music. Record labels released countless albums on 8-track, catering to the growing demand. Classic albums by iconic artists like the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, and the Rolling Stones were all available in the now iconic 8-track format. The 8-track's popularity extended beyond music. Spoken word recordings, comedy albums, and even language learning courses were released on the format. It seemed that every aspect of audio entertainment was being adapted for the 8-track player. The format's accessibility and affordability made it a hit with consumers from all walks of life. It was truly a golden age for the 8-track. The cassette revolution. As the 1970s progressed, a new challenger emerged: the compact cassette. Smaller and more portable than the 8-track, the cassette offered several advantages. Its compact size made it ideal for use in portable players, which were rapidly gaining popularity. The cassette's sound quality, while not perfect, was a noticeable improvement over the 8-track. The cassette's smaller tape width and slower tape speed, ironically, allowed for greater precision in recording and playback. The cassette tape's arrival marked a turning point in the portable music market. Consumers, drawn to the cassette's smaller size, improved sound quality, and lower price, began to abandon the 8-track in droves. By the early 1980s, the cassette had overtaken the 8-track as the dominant format for pre-recorded music. The 8-track, once a symbol of innovation and progress, was rapidly becoming obsolete. Its reign as king of the road was over. A nostalgic echo. Today, the 8-track tape is a relic of a bygone era. Its clunky cartridges and imperfect sound are a far cry from the sleek digital music players of the 21st century. Yet, the 8-track continues to hold a certain nostalgic appeal for those who remember its heyday. It evokes a time when listening to music was a more tactile and involved experience, a time before playlists and streaming services. The 8-track's enduring appeal is evident in the resurgence of interest from collectors and enthusiasts. Vintage 8-track players and tapes are finding new life at flea markets, antique shops, and online marketplaces. For some, collecting 8-tracks is a way to reconnect with their youth, to relive the days when music was a physical object to be cherished and shared. The 8-track may be gone from the mainstream, but its story continues to fascinate and inspire.
Today we're diving into one of Thomas Edison's lesser-known inventions, the Edison Electric Pen. Thomas Edison, a name synonymous with innovation, gifted the world with groundbreaking inventions. While Edison is famous for inventing the light bulb and phonograph, his work on this unique office tool from the 1870s also laid the groundwork for an entirely different industry: modern tattooing. The Edison Electric Pen, patented in 1876, promised to revolutionize the way we copy documents. Imagine a world before photocopiers, a world where making copies meant painstakingly writing by hand, again and again. The electric pen, a marvel of its time, offered a glimmer of hope for efficiency. Edison, ever the visionary, saw beyond the limitations of traditional writing tools. He envisioned a future where words could be duplicated with ease, saving time and effort. The electric pen, he believed, held the key to unlocking this future. Let's explore how the Edison Electric Pen worked and how it unexpectedly influenced tattoo culture. At first glance, the Edison Electric Pen resembled a handheld drill more than a writing instrument. Powered by a small electric motor, it housed a needle that vibrated rapidly up and down. This vibrating needle punched tiny holes in a sheet of paper, creating a stencil of the written words. To create copies, this stencil was then placed on a blank sheet of paper. Ink was then applied over the stencil, seeping through the tiny holes to reproduce the original text on the blank sheet below. The process, though ingenious, was not without its limitations. The Edison Electric Pen, while innovative, faced an uphill battle in the marketplace. The device, though promising, was expensive and cumbersome to operate. The noise from the motor, a constant hum, proved disruptive in quiet office settings. Furthermore, the emergence of new, more efficient duplication technologies, such as the mimeograph, overshadowed the electric pen's capabilities. The mimeograph, simpler to use and more cost-effective, gradually replaced the electric pen as the preferred method for document duplication. By the late 1890s, the Edison Electric Pen had largely faded from the scene, its brief moment in the spotlight eclipsed by newer, more practical innovations. The story of the Edison Electric Pen, however, takes an unexpected turn. A New York tattoo artist named Samuel O'Reilly saw potential in the pen's vibrating needle technology. He recognized its ability to rapidly puncture skin and envisioned a revolutionary application: electric tattooing. In 1891, O'Reilly patented the first electric tattoo machine, directly inspired by Edison's electric pen. His invention, a modified version of the pen, utilized a similar vibrating needle mechanism to inject ink beneath the skin, forever altering the art of tattooing. The Edison Electric Pen, though commercially unsuccessful, left an indelible mark on the world. Its legacy extends far beyond its intended purpose, serving as a testament to the power of adaptation and innovation. O'Reilly's ingenious repurposing of the pen's technology revolutionized tattooing, transforming it from a laborious and painful process into a faster, more precise art form. The Edison Electric Pen stands as a reminder that even inventions that fade from view can spark unexpected and enduring advancements. It encourages us to look beyond the obvious, to explore the hidden potential within technologies, and to never underestimate the power of a good idea. After all, in the realm of innovation, sometimes even a failed invention can leave the most lasting mark. Today we're diving into one of the coolest inventions of the 20th century, something that captured memories instantly and revolutionized photography: the Polaroid camera. You've probably seen its iconic white-bordered photos, but did you know the story behind the instant camera? Let's explore how it worked, why it became so popular, and what led to its decline. Polaroid's journey began in the late 1940s when Edwin Land, the genius behind the Polaroid Corporation, introduced the first-ever instant camera, the Polaroid Land Camera Model 95. It was a game-changer for photography enthusiasts. For the first time, people didn't have to wait days to see the results of their pictures. They could snap and watch the photo develop right in front of their eyes within minutes. So, how did it work? The magic of the Polaroid camera was in its instant film. When a picture was taken, the film would pass through rollers inside the camera that spread chemicals over the photo paper. This process developed the image within moments, producing that iconic square photo with a white border. The simplicity of it made photography accessible to the masses, from casual users to artists. Polaroid's success took off in the 1960s and 70s. During this time, photography was still largely reserved for professionals or those who had the time and equipment to develop their own film. Polaroid made it possible for everyday people to capture moments and hold the memories in their hands instantly. It became a cultural phenomenon. From family vacations to birthday parties, Polaroid cameras were everywhere. They even found their way into pop culture, with artists like Andy Warhol famously using Polaroids in his artwork. By the late 1970s, Polaroid was at the height of its popularity, with millions of people using its cameras around the world. But as with all technology, times changed. In the 1990s and early 2000s, digital cameras started taking over. Suddenly, people could take an unlimited number of photos, view them instantly on a screen, and print only the ones they wanted. The appeal of instant film faded, and Polaroid struggled to keep up with the digital revolution. By 2008, Polaroid had stopped producing its instant film, marking the end of an era. However, that wasn't the end of the story. In recent years, Polaroid has made a bit of a comeback, tapping into the nostalgia for physical photos and instant gratification. While digital photography dominates today, there's something magical about holding a physical photo in your hand moments after taking it. Polaroid's legacy is undeniable. It wasn't just a camera, it was an experience. Today, instant cameras are making a comeback, with many young people and photographers rediscovering the charm of these iconic devices.
Today we're diving into the fascinating and mysterious story of Starlite, a material so extraordinary it could withstand the heat of a nuclear blast, and yet you've likely never heard of it. Our story begins in the 1980s with a man named Maurice Ward. An amateur chemist and former hairdresser, Ward invented a material that would soon capture the world's attention: Starlite. Unlike anything seen before, Starlite could withstand temperatures over 10,000 degrees Celsius, far beyond the limits of most modern materials. It wasn't just a laboratory curiosity. Scientists from institutions like NASA and the British Atomic Weapons Establishment conducted tests on Starlite, and it passed with flying colours. It could endure heat from nuclear-like explosions, making it potentially invaluable for industries like aerospace and defense. The secret behind Starlite's effectiveness lies in its complex chemical makeup, which remains a closely guarded secret to this day. What we do know is that Starlite is an organic material made from polymers and ceramics. When exposed to intense heat instead of burning or melting, it creates a protective barrier, absorbing the energy without degrading. For scientists and engineers, this meant Starlite could revolutionize space travel by shielding spacecraft from extreme heat during re-entry or even in future nuclear-powered technologies. So, why aren't we using Starlite today? Despite its groundbreaking properties, Maurice Ward refused to sell the formula outright. He was protective of his invention and feared losing control over its potential misuse. For years, major corporations, including NASA and Boeing, showed interest, but no formal deal was ever reached. When Ward passed away in 2011, the secret of Starlite seemed to die with him. While some believe Ward's family might still hold the formula, it has never resurfaced in any meaningful way. But why didn't anyone recreate it? Despite all the advanced material science we have today, the exact composition of Starlite remains a mystery. Some theorize that it was so complex, only Maurice Ward knew how to create it perfectly. Could Starlite have changed the world? Would it have improved space travel, firefighting, or military defense? The answer remains buried in the sands of forgotten innovation. Although Starlite never made it to mass production, its story serves as a reminder of the incredible potential in unlikely places. It also reminds us that sometimes the most revolutionary ideas fade into obscurity before they can truly change the world. What do you think? Could Starlite have been the material to change everything, or was it too good to be true?
Today, we're taking a trip back to the time before smartphones and instant messaging, when pagers ruled the world of fast communication. How did they rise to such prominence, and why did they disappear so quickly? Let's dive into the history of pager technology. For those unfamiliar, a pager, also known as a beeper, is a small device that receives short, numeric, or alphanumeric messages. You could receive a phone number or a brief message, alerting you to call someone back. They were primarily used for quick, urgent communication. Before the internet and mobile phones, pagers were essential for doctors, business people, and emergency services. The technology behind pagers dates back to the 1950s, when the first wireless paging system was developed. It wasn't until the 1970s, though, that pagers started becoming mainstream, thanks to improvements in technology that allowed them to become more affordable and portable. So, how did these tiny devices actually work? Pagers functioned using radio waves. A message would be sent to a central operator, who then transmitted that message via radio signals to the recipient's pager. The pager would then beep or vibrate, alerting the user to check the screen for the message. Originally, these messages were limited to numeric codes, meaning if you were paged, you'd have to call back to find out what the message was about. But as technology evolved, alphanumeric pagers were introduced, allowing short text to be sent directly to the user. This innovation made pagers incredibly useful for professionals on the go. By the 1980s and 1990s, pagers had exploded in popularity. They became a must-have tool for industries where real-time communication was critical, especially in healthcare. Doctors used pagers to receive instant notifications about emergencies, while executives and on-call workers used them to stay connected. At their peak, there were more than 60 million pager users worldwide. In the United States alone, doctors, fire departments, and businesses all depended on them. Pagers were also affordable and didn't suffer from the battery issues that early cell phones did, which made them the go-to device for instant alerts. Pagers weren't just functional, they were also a cultural icon of the 90s. From TV shows to hip-hop lyrics, pagers became a status symbol for professionals, celebrities, and even teens. People would send each other numeric codes like 911 for emergencies, or 143 to say I love you. These codes were part of a pager culture that even led to a boom in personal pager sales during this era. But as with many innovations, pagers' dominance was short-lived. The development of cellular networks and mobile phones in the late 1990s marked the beginning of the end. Phones could do everything pagers did and much more. They allowed for full conversations, texting, and even internet access, features that made pagers obsolete almost overnight. By the early 2000s, the pager market collapsed as cell phones became more affordable. However, pagers are still used today in niche industries like hospitals and emergency services where reliable, short-range communication is vital. While pagers may be gone from everyday life, their influence lives on. Today's smartphones use instant messaging and push notifications, concepts that pagers pioneered. In many ways, pagers were the first step toward the instant communication world we live in today. Even though their time has passed, the pager's legacy continues in hospitals and critical services, where their reliability still makes them a valuable tool for emergency communication.
Today, we're diving into Sony's ambitious data Discman, a handheld device that tried to bring digital reading to the masses before e-readers were cool. Let's explore this unique piece of tech history. Released in 1992, the Discman was Sony's vision for the future of portable information. Roughly the size of a paperback, this handheld electronic book player used mini CDs to store text, making it one of the first attempts at a digital reading device. Its primary purpose was to let users access information on the go, from encyclopedias to travel guides. Unlike today's internet-connected devices, the Discman operated offline, loading content solely from preloaded CD-ROMs, a technological limitation at the time, but a marvel for offline reading. So, how did it work? The Discman had a built-in CD drive where you could insert small 3-inch CD-ROMs. Each disc could store a few megabytes of data, plenty for text-based content, but not enough for images or videos. After inserting the disc, the device would load an index, allowing you to search and browse through the material with arrow keys and basic navigation buttons. Navigation was fairly straightforward, but due to the lack of a touchscreen, users had to scroll through lists using physical buttons. It might sound tedious today, but at the time, this interface was one of the best ways to access searchable information without a computer. Sony marketed the Discman to professionals, travelers, and students. Popular CD-ROMs included encyclopedias, dictionaries, language guides, and even interactive travel books. You could, for instance, take a virtual tour of Paris before a trip or read classic literature, all in a device that fit in your bag. One of the most unique applications was the ability to store entire reference materials on one disk, so you could access it anywhere. While common now, this portability was groundbreaking in the 90s, especially for professionals needing information on the go. However, because of its limited multimedia support, it was primarily used for text, which kept its appeal limited. Despite its promise, the Discman had some major drawbacks. Its display, while effective, was low resolution, making reading for extended periods a challenge. Plus, with no backlight, reading in low-light conditions was almost impossible without an external light source. Another challenge was the lack of multimedia support beyond text. By the late 90s, consumers wanted images and even basic video playback. The Discman's hardware couldn't keep up, making it less appealing as alternatives like laptops, PDAs, and eventually the internet began providing more advanced solutions. Sony's ambitious goals were ultimately held back by the technology available at the time, meaning that by the late 90s, the Discman felt outdated and bulky compared to newer portable options. Although the Discman faded quickly, its concept of portable, searchable digital text paved the way for e-readers and mobile devices. Today's Kindles and tablets owe a debt to this early innovation, showing that sometimes being ahead of your time can leave a lasting impact. Sony's attempt to bring digital reading to consumers may not have succeeded, but it planted the seeds for the rise of e-books and digital libraries, a trend we see growing with each passing year.
Today, we dive into the story of an electric car that was ahead of its time, the GM EV1. A vehicle that sparked hope for the future of sustainable transport, but met a controversial end. Let's explore its rise, innovations, and untimely demise. The story begins in the 1990s, a time of growing environmental awareness. California had introduced its groundbreaking zero-emission vehicle mandate, requiring automakers to produce a percentage of vehicles that emitted no pollution. General Motors answered the call with the EV1, the first mass-produced electric vehicle from a major manufacturer. The EV1 wasn't just any car, it was a masterpiece of engineering. Its aerodynamic design minimized drag, while its lightweight aluminum body and advanced lead-acid batteries allowed for a range of 70 to 100 miles, impressive for the time. Later models even introduced nickel metal hydride batteries, extending the range further. The EV1 quickly gained a loyal fan base. Drivers loved its smooth, silent operation and eco-friendly credentials. It represented a future free from gas stations and oil dependency. It even inspired a movement. People began to believe that the electric revolution was finally here. Here's the kicker. GM didn't sell the EV1. It was only available through leases. Drivers who leased the EV1 described it as life-changing. However, their excitement would soon turn into heartbreak. In 2003, GM announced the EV1 program would be discontinued. They blamed high production costs and limited demand, but the reality was more complicated. Oil companies and car dealerships weren't thrilled about a future with fewer gas stations or maintenance needs. Even more controversially, GM began repossessing all leased EV1s and sent them to be destroyed. This sparked outrage, with environmental activists staging protests to save the cars. Despite their efforts, nearly all EV1s were crushed, erasing the evidence of what could have been. Though short-lived, the EV1 left a lasting impact. It proved that electric vehicles were viable, paving the way for today's EV revolution. Many of the technologies developed for the EV1, such as regenerative braking and battery management systems, are now standard in modern EVs. Even GM has embraced electric cars once again, but the story of the EV1 serves as a reminder of how progress can be slowed by competing interests. The GM EV1 was more than a car. It was a symbol of what the future could look like. Its story is one of innovation, hope, and a cautionary tale of how fragile progress can be. Today, we're diving into the Laserdisc, the precursor to DVDs that promised to revolutionize home video entertainment in the 1970s and 80s. So why didn't it succeed? Let's find out. The Laserdisc was first introduced in 1978 by MCA and Philips. Unlike the VHS tapes of its time, the Laserdisc offered superior video and audio quality thanks to its analog optical storage technology. It was the first commercial video format to use optical disc technology, decades ahead of its time. Picture this: VHS tapes had grainy, low-resolution visuals. Laserdiscs, on the other hand, delivered crisp video and digital quality sound. It was like stepping into the future of home entertainment. So why didn't everyone jump on board? The first major hurdle was the cost. A Laserdisc player in the late 1970s and early 80s could set you back $1,000, equivalent to over $4,000 today. Each disc was also significantly more expensive than a VHS tape, making it an investment that few families could afford. Then there was the inconvenience. Unlike VHS tapes, Laserdiscs couldn't store an entire movie on one side. Midway through your movie, you'd have to flip the disc or switch to another one. Talk about a buzzkill during movie night. Another issue? Lack of adoption. While Laserdisc had its niche fans, particularly among cinephiles, it was outmatched by the affordability and convenience of VHS tapes. Movie studios prioritized VHS releases, leaving the Laserdisc with a limited library of films. And then came DVDs in the mid-1990s. DVDs offered the same or better video quality as Laserdiscs, but in a compact, user-friendly format without the hassle of flipping discs. This was the final nail in the Laserdisc's coffin. Despite its failure, the Laserdisc remains a beloved relic of the past. It paved the way for optical disc technology and set the stage for DVDs and Blu-rays. Collectors and enthusiasts still treasure it as a piece of home entertainment history. The Laserdisc was an innovation that was ahead of its time but too expensive and impractical to survive. It's a reminder of how even groundbreaking technologies can falter when they don't align with market demands. Thanks for joining us on this journey through forgotten innovations. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below.